this is going to be a long one, so I divided it into 3 chapters. The first chapter is titled after one of my favorite phrases from the Mindy Project, which is the origin story of a gay man. Um, when I was 11, I was having fun with my sisters and just laughing in the living room when my mom angrily pulled me aside and asked me, "Why are you talking like a eunuch?" For some reason, I was surprised but not confused because I knew my subconscious strategy the whole while was until no one called me out on it or shamed me for it, I'd most probably just like get away with how I behaved, how I walked or talked. So then I felt like the gig was up and I had to finally just I did what any kid in a small town with no internet would do, write a 10-page letter to a TV psychologist about all the doubts and misgivings and just shame I had. This was my strategy. He was going to hypnotize me and then fix me. He never replied. So I just straightened my limp wrist, put the pinky down, and just thought it would all go away. 4 years later, a boy from school kissed me behind the steps, behind the trees, and it was magical. It was my first kiss. A year later, I was in boarding school. I was doing my 10th standard, and there was this friend who was semi-hitting on me, but also was too self-righteous to make anything out of it. He would say something like, "Hey, I just want to say this because I'm your friend and I really care about you. People are calling you gay, yaar." And it had to be explained to me that gay men are men, like, men who are attracted to other men and had sex with other men, and lesbians are women who did the same with other women. In my head, it finally had a name. And later on, most of my sex education was from Yahoo chat messenger groups. Mostly like, "Hi, ASL, top or bottom." And I made a lot of online friends. I viewed people on webcams. And a year later, I exchanged love letters every single day with this dude for 3 months. This was in my +2. And it was just I was on top of the world, and it obviously fizzled out the minute we left for college. And the last day, he just came to me and returned all the 3 months worth of love. It was a huge stack. What can I say? La, 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 la. So I knew that I couldn't carry them because no matter how much I loved writing them, I really did feel a little dirty or shameful about what I had done. And there was no privacy in my house. Nobody had a diary for a reason. So I could not carry them home. So I tore them all up, and then this is how melodramatic I was. I went to the top floor of the hostel, and then through the windows, just like throwing bits of papers. I mean, like, somebody's filming this, right? Guys, get this. Yeah, happened. Yeah. It wasn't until I was in my master's degree, for some reason, making out with a visiting French man who was a professor. No, he didn't teach French. But it wasn't until I was making out with this dude that I strangely felt okay about being gay. Because I was working on isolating salt-tolerant enzymes from haloarchaea for prospective use in detergent formulations, and I was supposed to basically something biotechy, guys. I'm smart as well. So I had gone to a meeting with my guide, and he was talking with this. There he was sitting in his cabin talking to this French man, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll maybe talk to you guys later." Coincidentally, I was exchanging messages with some Caucasian person who was visiting Goa, and he just sent me his picture, and that was the same dude. So I met with him a few hours later, and while we were making out, he was like, "Oh, the first time I look at you, I think to myself, will you ever kiss me? Oh, he's so beautiful." I'm like, you're full of shit, because he didn't remember anything. He didn't know when we met. But I don't know, just holding this drunk Frenchman's hand suddenly just made me feel like, this guy looks nothing like me, is not of my age group, has had no significant overlap with the life experiences that I've had, yet he likes men as much as I do. And there are some things that you know in your life that are facts, but there are some things that you would know, just you'd hold in your soul that they are truths. In that instant, I just felt like, oh, this is my truth. I'm gay. That's it. The second chapter is called The Coming Out Saga. So last April, I found myself enjoying a midweek sunset on the terrace of my studio apartment in Hyderabad. I was listening to the song Paper Kite by the band Paper Kites. It's called Bloom, and it goes like, "Can I be close to you?" It's so beautiful. And I had recently resigned from my position as a patent analyst in a Hyderabad firm, and I was going to go to Mumbai in a fortnight. I was going to go home and then to Mumbai. I was pretty excited. I have to point out that I was smoking a joint. Everything was sepia toned around me. Life was sweet. My dad calls. He starts off in a menacing, angry, pissed off tone, and then I stay subdued for a while, and before I know it, he goes on this 5-minute diatribe about how I'm just an ungrateful son, so irresponsible. And now there's this girl from Jaipur who has a good, stable job and is very well connected to our family friends. They're a great family, and I should think about it. And for some reason, I still pat myself on the back for showing such restraint when stoned, for not just blurting, Dad, I'm gay. Because I said, Dad, I'm going to give you the reason why I'm not going to get married when I come home. And he was like, well, give it to me now. I said, no, you've been patient all these years. It's just a fortnight, I'm going to tell you. So I go home. My parents have this routine of walking by the paddy fields in the evening. That's their exercise. So whenever I'm home, I try to join them on these walks. So ever since I'd come, for 3 days, it'd been raining like non-stop. So it did not happen. My dad lost his cool on the third night. I was like, you said you were going to come here. You're going to give me the reason why you weren't get married. I was like, well, I kind of thought maybe we could do it on the evening walks. It never happened because it was raining heavily. He was like, well, why don't we go out on a night walk right now? I'll go get umbrellas. So he goes inside. He goes inside. A minute after he comes out and he's like, well, there's only one umbrella. So let's go upstairs to the room upstairs. I'm like, Dad, I really hope no one listens to us. Like, can we just do it? I said, like, just shut up and come upstairs. So I go upstairs. Now I had to tell myself that my dad has hypertension. So any time during me breaking the news, if his eyes redden any bit, I was thinking like, Operation abort. So I was just thinking that. So we go upstairs and I tell him I cannot say this in Telugu, so I'll just say it in English. Because I quite can't articulate it in Telugu. Swalinga Samparkudu sounds like it's a medical term. So I just go and say, Nanagaru, I'm gay. It's like, what? I'm gay. What? It's like, I like men. I'm not attracted to women. Well, you could have told this to us 2 years ago and saved us so much anguish. You and your mother and I, we were just so worried. And I was like, well, I didn't know how to quite say it. I wasn't ready to have this conversation. Well, have you tried to change it? It's like, do you think I haven't thought about that? For years, I tried meeting people, reading books, and talking to doctors about whether I was normal. And it's like, well, what did the doctors say? I said, well, I met a doctor. He said I had to get electric shocks. I'm not going to get that, Dad. I'm not. And then the other psychiatrist said that it was a natural human tendency and there was nothing to rectify. Well, he was like, well, there's still many ways you could be straight. It's like, I don't know. I've exhausted all the ways I found. If you have any ideas, let me know. Of course, there are many ways to be straight. Yeah, Dad, tell me. I'm all yours. Did you Google? I was like, oh. That's how everybody learns. You know. 2 days later, I was in the living room and I was just laughing with my sister and my mom. My dad, out of the blue, just says, hey, I figured out your problem from your horoscope. And I'm like, what? Because my dad is he's kind of like a Renaissance man. He was a celebrated civil engineer in the State Department. He still has records to his name. And he had written poems in meter. He put up street plays. He taught himself Vastu Shastra. He's very well known in his circles for his ability to read and interpret a horoscope. So I was ready to take him on his word. So when we were just the two of us at the dinner table later, I asked him, what did you mean by that? He was like, he wouldn't say anything. I'm like, Dad, did you mean that you could tell that I was gay from my horoscope? He just nods. I was like, but what you're saying is, when I was born, you could have looked at my horoscope and you would have known that I was gay. He just busied himself with the curd rice. He would not answer any more questions. The next day I flew to Mumbai and I was just like, this is just great. If more parents knew that planetary positions made you gay, that is amazing. The minute I came to Mumbai, just like everything just went to shit. My parents stopped talking to me. My entire family stopped talking to me. My dad would refuse to help me pay the rental deposit to rent a house on my own. So it was just like a lot of shit was happening. It was raining the whole time. So much rain, and I come from a drought-stricken place, so I've never seen rain like this. And it was like God was trying to one-up my misery. It's like, I'm more sad than you. I've seen more sadness than you. Enough, God, we get it. So my sister calls me with this full-on indignation, and she says, like, what nonsense have you been feeding, Dad? And I was like, I was not ready to take any more shit. I was like, press pause. Let me tell you what happened between Dad and me. And then she listens to all of it, and then she says, well, the way I see it, Jnani, you have only two options. The first one is you could come out to Mom and the entire family. She will fall violently sick and our family will never be the same again. The second option is you could go to an orphanage, find a suitable young girl, promise her a good life, get married, go abroad, impregnate her with in vitro fertilization, have a child, bring the child back, show the child to the grandparents. You can either raise the child with her or you can divorce her. And I was like, are you fucking demented? Do you realize how disrespectful that is to orphans everywhere? And she was like, and then she goes, oh yeah, Gnani, don't lift a finger, okay? Don't do anything. After all that our parents have been through, this is what you do. Yeah. You just demand and demand. And I was like, okay, even if what you said was gonna work out, don't you think it could backfire in many other ways? Don't you think it's the worst way for mom to find out? And she's like, there's this thing called prenuptial agreements. You could just go to a lawyer and she would never say a word. And I was like, you're asking me to raise a child with a woman and she is going to be a stranger. This is her line. She's like, I'm not going to explain arranged marriages to you. Bye. And she was so serious about it because the next 3 days she just kept calling me, did you find a lawyer? Did you find a lawyer? Did you Google a lawyer, okay? Just have a discussion with a lawyer. I was so pissed off. A few days later, my sister was living in the UK. She sends me a text message saying, Gnani, I just have some advice for you. You can follow it if you want, or else if you don't need to. What is it? If I were you, I'd refrain from posting anything LGBT related on your Facebook. This was around the time that US had legalized same-sex marriages, and Facebook allowed you to put a rainbow filter on your display pictures. So I did that, and she was like, well, and I said, why? And she was like, if you were gonna share a house with someone, the guys could get to be like, bullies if they even knew or thought that you were gay. I was like, okay, remember that. She's like, are you gay? I just texted all of this text. I was like, yes. And she's like, well, it's fine by me. I'm with you, and it's completely fine. Just take care of yourself. So I was pretty excited. I was going home in August and I was gonna come out to my mom with the help of my sister and my dad. I'm on the evening walk again with my dad and I tell him, Dad, I think it's time to tell mom. And he's like, no. Dad, we could just tell her that, it's all in the horoscope, just like you told me. She'll get it. And then he's like, no, when did I tell that it was in the horoscope? I was like, no, you have me confused. What I meant was you cannot have children. It says that you're impotent in your horoscope. I was like, no, what? Yeah. I was like, this is crazy. And then he says, no, I think I never, did I say that you're gay from your horoscope? I did not, I just nodded. Whatever. So I said, we cannot talk about this. Let's not tell mom. But he calls a family meeting. My fourth sister, my second sister, me, my mom, and my dad, all of us are sitting there. He starts off with my fourth sister. The dread is just building up in me. My dad is like talking to her sister, like, you've quit your job. What are you doing with your life? My second sister, and he's grilling her. And then it's my turn, and he says, when a man and a woman live together, it's in alignment with the society and nature. But, and then my mom interrupts him, Kanaya, just tell me, do you ever intend to marry? And I was like, no, mom. And then she's like, that's it. He has decided he's never going to get married. And there's this ritual that only married Hindu sons can do, which is supposed to ensure the safe passage of theirs into the heavens and everything after they die. So she's like, he could never do it. He doesn't care about us. And I was like, Ma, I know the reason. I told Dad, but I cannot tell you because I don't know how we'll take it. And my dad, uninterrupted, he's like, hold on, I will still have a point. But when a man and a man want to live together, it's against nature. And my mom is still blinking, she's still confused. I'm just walking away and I hear my mom say from inside the room, she's like, what did you say, man and a man? And it's he got so annoyed, he lost it all. And he was like, well, he's gay, he likes other men. Hima, do you understand now? And that's it. My sisters came through, long story short. This is called, third chapter, guys, almost done. It's called Creaky Door. This is another chapter. The long story short, my sisters really came through. A lot of them just rallied and then said, Ma, it's completely normal and everything. My sister tried to show her videos of gay marriages and how National Geographic Channel thinks it's normal. And my elder sister scheduled an appointment with an andrologist in the nearest city, which is Bangalore, a 4-hour drive. I was like, I feel like a spy who's taking a polygraph test. Why are you making me do this? She's like, no, our parents need to hear it from a doctor. I was worried. It was harrowing to think, what if this doctor was one of those, I could kill you. I could do that. I was so worried, but he wasn't. He just directed us to a psychologist to explain everything very kindly to my dad. So I came back home the next morning. My parents wake up at 4:30 every morning. So I came back home. My mom was making coffee at 5 a.m. I joined her. And then she was like, if you just believe in God, miracles can happen. And I was like, Ma, remember that, when I was a kid, we went on this 10-day-long trip to all the temples in Tamil Nadu. That was all I prayed for. I was like, make me a normal, complete man. it doesn't work. And she's like, oh, you knew this at such a young age? I said, yes. Then I said, whatever you do, Ma, do not push me away, because it's not going to make anyone happy. And she was like, she started sobbing, and then she got real emotional. She said, well, if I lost you to a vice like drinking or gambling, I could be mad at you, but it feels like it's not your fault here. So you have to understand, it's very hard for me. I've prayed for years for a son, and he turns out like this, so it's very hard for me. So she just hugs me, and then I'd like to say that everything's all right now. It's not all right, because I just came from a trip from Varanasi where my mom wanted me to take a holy dip and then instructed a priest to give me a mantra which would help me find a suitable bride. Like, she basically took me to a place where a bunch of half-naked dudes were having holy dips, and she thought like, Ma, maybe think a little more before you choose a place. I don't know. Yeah, so we went. And then she did this thing where one afternoon she was very emotional. She started crying a lot, and she said, your second sister is so rude to me, so ungrateful. I take care of a baby. And then she just started crying, and I tried to comfort her, and I reminded her that we're in this beautiful city, Varanasi. Why don't we go out, freshen up, have some fresh air, have some tea. And like, she wears a good sari, she washes her face, she puts some talcum powder, gets all dolled up. We go downstairs, we have tea, and then I'm just telling her like, Ma, so what? One of your children is making you mad right now, but 4 other children just love you. We love you to death. And then I see the speck of talcum powder in the wrinkles around her eyes, so I just like reach out to rub it away. And then she looks into my eyes and says, you're gonna chant the mantra, right? Please. So you know the amount of guilt tripping that happens. I was like, yeah, Mom, I will. And then the minute I was away from that, I got on Grindr and then found this dude to hook up with, and like, because it was like a revenge like on home. I don't understand. But mid make out, my mom calls me. It's like, I'm not taking those calls. I come back home. Turns out I come back to the lodge. Turns out she had sunstroke, and she was actually calling me to get electrolyte powder. What I realized is I cannot feel entitled to my parents' acceptance. I was not born a feminist. I educated myself to be a feminist. And in all probability, my parents had never met a gay person in their entire lives. So it's kind of like hard to just dream up these fantasy scenarios where I just tell my parents, guys, I have great news. I'm gay. And then everyone's like, great, we get it. So now I have this dude who's doing his PhD. He's amazing. I think he's the best fit for you. It never happens. You keep hoping for the best case scenario where your parents are all just like giving you a group hug and kissing you. It doesn't happen. All you can do is try and be respectful to their life experiences. And remember that coming out is not an epiphany. It's not a one-stop shop. It's more like trying to make your way through a creaky door. You open a little, make some noise, and then the wind shuts you out, and then you open a little more, and then you repeat the process until your time is over and you're out. That's my story. Thank you.